we've got an art installation, probably the most high-tech art installation I've ever heard of. And I am thrilled to be able to bring Kevin and Ben here live with the Tech Field Day delegates. So first off, that looks incredible. And I wish that I was in Seattle, and I hope that I'll be able to get a chance to experience it at some point. Who wants to go first with the question? Was that you, Paul?
Yeah, thanks, Stephen. And Kevin, Ben, yeah, with Stephen, I mean, that looks fantastic. I'm based here in Liverpool in the UK. So if you just want to add that to your list of potential future venues, thanks very much. So I suppose my question to both of you guys was, we've seen a lot today and yesterday actually about how NGINX is, allows the enterprise to modernize its applications, but to maybe give it some simplicity and some guardrails around how it's, how it does that. So for a project like this, what was it that NGINX brought to this that would have been difficult to do if you guys hadn't been there?
Sure. Yeah. Well, thanks so much. I hope we can make it over to the UK as well. I think the first and foremost, and I know Kevin probably can back me up, but I think security was definitely the number one thing when an installation is plopped in any part of the world. It's not one of these super secure behind a firewall, behind a data center type of application, and so if that's the case, people are on the ground, they could snoop around. I mean, I think there's a very kind of lighthearted approach to this whole installation. So having security isn't a super high priority, but with NGINX, it's been a very easy implementation just by using their services inherently. There's so much built in.
Yeah, and just to add to that, I worked closely with the developer who designed the application, and it was kind of a cool experience because he had used NGINX before, but he wasn't really aware of all the cross functionality that it provided. And we were able to leverage a lot of the native functionality to do things that he thought that he was going to have to put into his application, like JSON Web Token validation, rewrites and redirects and stuff like that. And it was a very easy experience for him because he was able to focus on the application.
So making it more simple and making it more secure. I mean, that sounds like two parts of Holy Trinity right there.
Absolutely.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Hello, Nick here. I have a question about the hardware side of things. If we live in an area where we're not going to be able to check out the demo, are all of the hardware specs open source? Can we actually build this ourselves? And if so, where does this fall in the line of changing a light bulb and remodeling an entire kitchen?
That's a great question. I think from a normal kind of weekend hacker type of point of view, everything here that we've put together is definitely understandable. At that point, from there, it's more of a resource thing. I mean, I know that having a shipping container, it's not something normal for a lot of people. I know there's a lot of prefab homes and things like that. The hardware itself, though, I mean, it does run off of a standard Windows box, so that's something that is pretty accessible. When it comes to the open source, the NGINX side is all ready to rock. We're using a lot of the art that we've used is a little more tuned to this kind of higher end graphic image production. I collaborated with an artist called Sky, and Sky is using Cinema 4D. So I think that's actually a licensed product, but it's being used to create these images. And then aside from that, the main kind of media player is built within Touch Designer, and Touch Designer uses a ton of open source stuff. Like we said, WebSockets and Arduino is pretty open source. Python is the backbone of it, but Touch Designer itself is a bit of a wrapper, and there's a license for that. But I still think that NGINX powering this sort of experience, this type of experience, which is a little bit outside of the normal realm of the typical things you see done. That's kind of the whole point of sharing this NGINX powered physical experience. And I hope that what it does is it empowers more people to think about these kind of physically triggered and experiential and emotionally triggering type of experiences for people. So yeah, I mean, there definitely was a build. We had a lot of saws going on just until, a couple of days ago. We had dust particles floating around. We had to make sure that all of our sawdust was cleaned up. And it's been a lot of time. It's been a ton of work. I mean, it's a lot of fun. This is the kind of stuff I love doing. I think for anyone who is into kind of DIY projects, that's kind of like the fun of this kind of physical computing world with Arduino and Raspberry Pi. That's the stuff that I love to hang out in. And this is that, but turned up to a magnitude.
Very cool. Thanks.
Hi guys, Barry Coombs here. Really cool project. Must have been exciting to work on. I'm a kind of workspace user guy the majority of the time, and obviously over the last 12 to 18 months, we've seen massive changes in the way that we interact. This event is virtual, having to speak to grandmothers and parents over Zoom and things like that. So I wondered in the journey through this project and now releasing it, if you're actually finding practical use cases where you might want to explore taking this technology further, or maybe feel that people that have approached you said, look, this could be used for XYZ use case that maybe you didn't start out to do. It was an art project, but maybe you're now seeing more practical use cases where you could be applying this technology.
Yeah, great question. Thank you. I think in general, the practical applications of an art piece for me tend to be just, a very they're personal. They're meant to evoke a certain emotion. This was inspired by another physical piece that Sky and I did, and that was that was kind of during the dark times of the pandemic, and definitely wanted to make this piece to bring light back to the community. So for me personally, the application that worked for me, I got to have that kind of heart tug moment where I saw this beautiful, this very dark street that I once loved lit up, and the places that we're going to be putting the now arriving, I hope that they also can get that practical application as well. From an unartistic side, or from like a more technical point of view, or a tool or an application, I can see, I love the idea of these kind of modular shipping container applications being made, whether it's, a place. And what was great about this is, it's kind of this like prefab thing. You can put it on a truck, it can plop anywhere. I love, as we're coming out more and more, these shipping container pieces can be made to, serve someone something like, like a pop-up coffee or e-commerce, something like that. I can also see kind of more of like a health and wellness type situation where you walk in and you can have these situations. I think this kind of mobile technology, this kind of on the go pop-up, plop it anywhere. I think it's really exciting. We're so used to the brick and mortar settings where you have an address of the place you go to, and you get your goods and services from there. But as kind of the world is shrinking, and the shipping services are getting better and better, and the technology is shrinking the world as well. I would love to see more of these like very specific focused applications built within a small space that can be trucked around the world. Nothing super specific to answer your question right now, but for me, like finishing this art piece is definitely meant to evoke a certain feeling in the community that we press it in.
Excellent. It really is quite remarkable, and I think that the fact that it has so much technology embedded in the art project, but yet that the technology is completely invisible to the user, is maybe the most powerful thing, because everyone is used to, everyone has a phone, everyone is used to using their phone and carrying it with them and interacting with things. We're all used to scanning a QR code whenever we get to a restaurant. So walking into this and scanning a QR code is going to feel like the most natural thing ever. And yet all of that, that flow chart was just astonishing how much technology there is at work there that's making all this run. I think for me, that's the summary of it. Ben and Kevin, I guess, do you want to react at all to the incredible connection between technology and art in this?
Definitely, Stephen. I think you hit the nail on the head. For me, being a creative technologist, technology is the closest thing we have to magic right now. And every time that a super, super dense and very technical piece of technology can be in the front lines of something that's so simple, that's the perfect match for me. I love remixing the old and the new. Like how can a really old piece of technology be imbued with this kind of magical element? That's where I really love focusing. And I know you mentioned that everyone knows how to use a cell phone, but even more pedestrian than that, everyone knows how to use an elevator. Like I think when we went to design this whole process, we're like, okay, we have to, make sure we have to do this kind of UX design process. How do we make sure people know to do? And then it's like, well, wait a minute. Everyone's used an elevator 1,000 times. You push the button to get in. You push the button to go to the floor. It was kind of this inherent experience that people can already understand, but with like a layer of something brand new on top of it. It was really, really fun kind of putting everything together, and I'm glad it's being empowered by NGINX, and I'm glad that people are reacting to it.
Yeah, for me, it was really exciting to be part of a project that did incorporate so much technology, because I actually felt like I got to learn and kind of grow a little bit outside of what I didn't know. Learning a little bit about the Arduino, learning a little bit about Touch Designer. The Touch Designer is really cool because it's a node-based, tool that allows you to almost have like a workflow of the hardware and the software working together. So that was cool to me, is to be a part of a cool project that, wasn't like the traditional web application running on Kubernetes, in AWS. It's, this is something very unique. And then at the same time, actually to be a part of something that's in the community that not even technology people are going to really understand what's going on behind the scenes. They're just going to go there to expect to appreciate this art installations. And so that was cool, is to be able to, push this out to the community and kind of, as Ben mentioned, bring light back to the community during, the end of the pandemic and the ongoing pandemic problems we've had. So.